December 31st, 2018. Man, I'll never forget that evening. My flight left Nassau, Bahamas. I made my way over to Toronto Pearson International Airport, officially as an international student. Never forget that feeling as the plane descended and the wheels hitting the tarmac and the flight attendant saying, "Welcome to Toronto." And it was exciting. Got my bags off the plane. I walked down the terminal to the customs line and called my Uber, and I was on my way. I was excited. And now fast forward 5 years later. Can't believe I'm saying that. This video is just all about me sharing my perspective, my experiences being a student and a temporary worker, now officially a permanent resident. If you're watching this video, considering moving to Canada, or if you're already here and just want to see a different perspective, I hope that this video inspires you, motivates you. That being said, this is A Broad State of Mind, life in Canada 5 years later. Stay tuned. When you first move to a country, you're excited. Maybe setting up your dorm room, setting up your apartment, shopping, taking pictures, sending photos back home to your family. After a while, you really begin to realize that starting over from scratch is difficult, man.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I realized this when I went to open up a bank account and I didn't have a social insurance number, no rental history, no auto history, medical records. These are some of the things you're not thinking about when you go in a different country. You're just excited. You're overwhelmed. You're going through that euphoric phase that, oh man, I'm here, I'm getting dressed, it's the winter time. And I was excited until I had to get real world stuff done. And a lot of times when you move to a different country, you're not thinking about these things. So just reflecting back on the 5 years I've been here, I realized it took me a very long time to reestablish myself. Even as a young professional, you're looking for work, you apply for jobs and they're asking for references or Canadian experience.
We need a cool-headed man like you on our team, Greg. That was a test, and you've passed. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you. So I've got the job?
No, of course not.
And that's when you come to the realization that starting over is difficult. And I think back on all the friends and family and professional connections I had back home, and you didn't really appreciate it until you leave it. And so it's going to be quite difficult. But on the positive note, starting over is a new chance just to rewrite your story, man. It's an opportunity to change some of the things that you wish you did when you're in your home country. And I know for me, there were some things I really wanted to change. I wanted to be more ambitious. I wanted to have more initiative, work harder, and just prove myself. And so coming to Canada gave me the opportunity to really be more intentional about my goals and just go out there and do my thing, take risks, be adventurous, and it worked out for me, man. It made me a better person, connecting with different people from different cultures. Even though starting off from scratch is tough, feeling like a nobody, at the end of the day, man, if you keep working at it, you keep meeting new people, you're gonna figure things out. Second most important lesson I've learned since being in Canada, patience, man. Patience is key. It might sound obvious, but when you're planning to move to a different country, you're planning to come to Canada, think you did all your research, you think you got everything all figured out. I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this job, I'm going to graduate. Looking back, none of those things happened for me when I wanted it to happen.
Back to class. Listen, I didn't come in for all that. I came to graduate. I'm done. Give me this diploma before I put you in a coma. Graduate. It's a biology book in that book bag. I need you to read all 1,200 pages. I'm here to graduate. I am done.
The process takes time, and patience is very important because you have no control over these visa processes. You have no control over when somebody is going to give you a job opportunity. No matter how smart you think you are, no matter how confident, you just got to be able to have that humility and understand that anything that's good is worth taking time. Like right now, I'm on my way to work, thinking about those days when I used to be on the bus stop waiting in the cold, bus 10 minutes delayed, and I'm like, man, where's this bus? Frustrated. Now I'm in the car, stuck in traffic. And so it just reminds me, man, to practice patience and always be grateful for whatever you have. As I remember when I was looking for an apartment during the pandemic and we got the basement apartment, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be in this basement, man. And, I'm so frustrated, but I was saving money. Now that I'm in a different apartment, the rent increased. It's important to take your time and not rush to make certain choices and decisions. I'm just so humbled by this experience and trust the process. Even when I graduated, I applied for over 100 jobs, and I sat there and I waited and waited and waited. Probably got about 4 calls and got 1 job. You only need 1 yes, but it's gonna take some time. You know, a lot of people don't talk about these things, man. They just post videos and you see the highlights. I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all, man. It takes years sometimes to settle down. You talk to any person who's been here for a long time, they'll tell you it takes years to achieve anything, man, if you're doing it the right way. All of the things, the good things that I've experienced in Canada, it took time, man. So patience is a virtue, man. Patience is key. When you move to countries like Canada, where there's so many different people, you gotta be confident, man. You gotta believe in yourself and be ready to put yourself out there to network. Because at the end of the day, nobody knows who you are. You're starting off from scratch. And you could have all the skills and experiences in the world, but if you can't articulate yourself, you can't go out there and just say, hey, this is who I am. It's gonna be tough, man. Unless you're rich, you got family here, you got connections already, and you don't need to speak to anybody. You know, for me, I didn't have it that way. I came from a country where there's not a lot of us here. And I always wanted to be more confident. Back home in the Bahamas, I felt as if my self-esteem was not where I wanted it to be. I didn't believe in myself, and every time I did something, I wanted somebody to pat me in the back and say, good job. That wasn't helping me to grow. And so taking this risk, just moving to a different country to study in itself, you know, it proved that I did have confidence and I did believe in myself. But after I got here, I realized that when nobody knows who you are, you gotta start shaking hands, you gotta start asking questions. Growing up in the Bahamas, it's really all about who you know, man. It's a lot of nepotism. It's a lot of, my uncle is the HR, my cousin is the supervisor, and people get jobs like that all the time. And sometimes you gotta pull some strings, but at the end of the day, I wanted to feel as if I put in the work, I gave a good effort, and I got rewarded for it, and not always having to depend on somebody to push my resume or somebody to give me a favor. Being over here has really boosted my confidence. And I look back at who I used to be, I realized, man, there's a lot of growth, man. I really changed as a person for the better. And so all you international students coming to Canada and you want to work, you want to find a job, you want to have a better life, it's not going to come easy. And especially if you're not confident, you're not willing to put yourself out there. Life happens. There's some things you just can't change. Some things you can't plan and prepare for. No matter how much research you do, how much preparation you make, when you come to a new country, you do not know what to expect. And that's in general, man. That's in life. But it's just that thing when you plan to move and you're excited, you're not thinking about the worst, man. You're not thinking about what could go wrong. And if I could go back 5 years ago and talk to my younger self and say, man, look, there's going to be a pandemic, there's going to be lockdowns, it's going to be hard to find work, you're going to be relocating to different places to live, man, I probably would have stayed home, man. That's life. And the only thing you can do is control how you react. I've learned how to adjust being in Canada. I've learned how to prepare myself. You know, you just don't know. When you're an immigrant and you don't have that comfort, those friends, those family around, you don't have a plan B, you know, you're always thinking about what's next, man. Just a few months ago, my car went down, and it's just like so many different obstacles come. I've learned how to really adapt. I've learned how to have a positive outlook on life and just change my perspective, man. Every struggle, every challenge I had has made me a stronger person, and it took me a while to get to this because there was some points I was so miserable, I was so frustrated. I regretted coming to Canada. I felt like, you know, if I'd stayed back and I didn't leave, things would have been better. You know, my grandparents passed away, my aunt passed away, and it was like, if I was there, I could have did this, I could have did that. And my faith in God has kept me going, you know, just believing that things are going to work out for the best. And eventually they did. Things settle down after a while, you know, you learn how to prepare. It's one of the greatest lessons I've learned being here, man. Life happens, things don't always go your way, but it's how you react, man. One of the most important lessons I've learned the past 5 years living in Canada is simple fact that you gotta own the experience, man. When you come to a new country, you gotta try to adjust as quickly as possible and just recognize the fact that you're in a new place. It's not gonna be the same as it was in your country. It's not gonna be the same type of people, the same type of culture, practices, and you gotta have an open mindset. You gotta change your perspective. And I say this because a lot of times international students come to Canada and they expect things to be similar to how it was in their country. And they end up spending a lot of time complaining, being miserable, and not learning and not being open to new experiences for the simple fact that they're finding it hard to adjust. And I could speak about this because it took me quite some time too, man. Thinking about things that I could have done back home and, just reminiscing, on social media, watching others have a good time and feeling like I'm missing out and not going out there and embracing this new environment and taking advantage of it.
Feel how it is. Keep going.
And so it took me about 2 or 3 years just to really accept it. And you just got to be ready to try new things, man. Don't be one of those students or immigrants who come here and they spend the whole time indoors, don't want to go outside, don't want to do anything, complaining about the weather, complaining about this and that. Like, it's going to be cold, it's going to be some challenges. So, you got to put on your big boy pants and just accept the fact that, hey, look, I'm here and I'm going to make the most of it. And that's something that takes quite some time, but I'm at a place in my life now that I've accepted the changes. I know it's going to get cold. I know I'm going to have to change my tires at a certain point in time. I know I'm going to have to layer up. These things you have no control over, but once you start to really get with the program, learn new things, you're going to be in a better space. Stay true to your values, stay true to yourself, but at the same time, don't have a closed mindset. Meet new people, try different foods, try different cultures, see what other people are doing, and you may just learn a little bit more about yourself. This video wouldn't be complete if I didn't just keep it real with y'all and let y'all know the situation, specifically in Southern Ontario right now, with the influx of international students and just the large amount of immigrants coming to Canada. Demand is not keeping up with the supply. There's so many people coming looking for work, looking for entry-level jobs, and it's a bit overwhelming. The cost of living is going up, housing prices, renting is difficult, and there's just so many people, coming to one particular area, and people are frustrated, man. There are so many articles and videos out there showing international students lining up for jobs, immigrants looking for work, job fairs, man, thousands of people on a daily basis looking for work. If you don't believe me, check this out.
Struggling to secure a job. That's a dilemma for many international students. And tonight, new employment numbers are painting a clearer picture of why work in Waterloo region can be difficult to find. CTV's Duluth reports.
Hundreds of job seekers rushing through the doors for a shot at employment.
As you can see, the job fair just started. We have maybe about 10 minutes already, and probably maybe 400 people are already in the room.
So yeah, man, it's tough right now. And so if you're moving to Canada or you're considering coming to Canada, here's my advice. If you have a decent job right now, you're in a country where you can afford to buy a home or rent is inexpensive. You have your friends and your family around, supporting you. Think about your options, and right now it's a little tough moving to Canada. A lot of people will not tell you the truth about this when they move. They only tell you about the positive aspects. Looking back 5 years ago, I would have moved to a different place within Canada and not Ontario. But I'm just happy for the job experience I've gotten here and being able to graduate and do fairly okay for right now. But that's just the situation that's going on, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't shed some light on that. So was it worth moving to Canada? In my opinion, it's one of the greatest decisions I've made in my life. Looking back at the past 5 years, man, thinking about that international student who came in that night, and fast forward to now, I have a family now. I've grown in my career, I graduated. I've gone through the ups and downs of being an immigrant, and I can honestly say that it's made me a stronger person. I feel more confident in myself. And it's something that I had on my bucket list. Move to a different country, learn new things. There's so many people who want to move here, so many people who want to know what's it really like, and it's just my opinion. Everybody's going to have a different experience. I would say that if you're coming from a country where you have a good life, you have a good job, your family, friends who care about you, and you're just wondering, should I leave all that behind?
Stop it.
Personally, that's a tough one, man. You're gonna have to make that choice. But for me, coming here and having a scholarship opportunity and studying and then finding work shortly after, it was worth it for me. And it's a question that people always ask me, do you ever go back home? Most definitely, man. The Bahamas is a beautiful place. I miss home, and in fact, I go back at least once every year since the pandemic. And you live in a big city and you're moving about, Sometimes you feel isolated, you feel disconnected because there's so many different cultures, so many different people, but it has given me a different perspective on life. My worldview has changed, and I'm really grateful for where I came from. And so with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.